All right, this is Jerry Diamond with How to Get Out of Babylon and Flat Earth Homeland. Three, four, five. I don't know. I'm not even. I'll worry about the numbers later. I think this is six, five or six. And the Flat Earth Homeland issue. I feel there's millions upon millions upon millions of people worldwide that are studying that issue, and I don't make any apologies for dealing with these different topics, for talking about flat Earth on here, because and if how does it go? I don't really care. If you don't care, if you don't like it, I don't really care. Thank you, Fletch. I love it. I don't really care. Yeah, it's a necessity. We've got to talk about these things. We've got to figure out what the world looks like. In this case, it's massively important because there is the fact that this is one of my first clues. The fact that there are 1,000 tornadoes in America lined up with the electric universe model told me immediately, I mean, I had to think for maybe a half of a second, that there is one massive amount of energy in the United States, electrical energy. Now, many years later, as I came into a deeper understanding of the Craton, but of the OzArk Plateau, and I discovered that, oh my gosh, the Plateau is part of the Craton, and the Craton is over twice as thick as the rest of the crust across the United States. And I excitedly told this friend of mine, whose house I'm in right now, doing this video, I said, you know, the Craton is 120 miles thick. The rest of the crust is 60 miles or 40 miles. Some places 40 miles, some places less than that. He said, well, you've always said that this region is very well grounded, going back to the initial understanding of tornadoes, electric universe. And I was like, it was exciting to hear it from someone else, not me. I didn't see it. I didn't make that connection. I didn't put two and two together. He did. And it's always exciting to hear somebody come up with an observation like that based on the research I've done, because they not only remembered, they not only listened to me the first time I said it, they understood what I said, and they were smart enough to put two and two together. My son David made the observation that, I'll show you a thing here in a little bit, but tornado tracks. They're almost perfectly straight, and David pointed out that they're about 45 minutes on the ground, about the maximum any tornado can stay on the ground, because at that end of that time, there's the 300 to 400,000 volts or whatever that was available to do the destructive damage is gone. So whether they're caused by man or exacerbated by HARP or whatever, doesn't make any difference. There's a 45-minute limit, so just get out of the way. All right, so I don't know. I think I might just say, hey, screenshot these if you want it. Here it is. But I'm going to go through them real quick. Electric Universe Model, EUM, explains Earth to ionosphere balancing a 400,000 volt differential. Okay, for every meter you go up, you're increasing the voltage by about 100 volts. Okay, when you reach the ionosphere, it tops out at about 400,000 volts. It builds up a difference. The negative charge, drives the positive, drives the negative charges in the ground, the earth ground, away from the surface because they repel, and then you build up a positive charge. So where you have a positive charge at a hilltop, a tree, lightning, an antenna, whatever, that's where you're going to have your lightning throw up. That's where you're going to have your tornado show up. Great case in point, Stockton, 2003 tornado. One of the most weird things that happened was it completely annihilated a shopping center that was a metal frame building. The only thing left was the cooler. There was a girl inside the cooler at Subway sandwich. Everything, every wrench, every toolbox, every piece of metal was gone. The walls, everything. There's nothing standing except that cooler. Went over a wooden church right up the hill. Didn't even touch it. Did not touch it. It was in the direct path, and it went over. Hit the graveyard, cemetery, and flipped, blew, turned, sailed about 1,000 gravestones. So for many years I was puzzled about that. That just was an enigma, a mystery, a bizarre. Sherlock Holmes said, whatever is outre or grotesque is the key to the mystery. So all those years later, I was like, oh man, electric universe. Oh yeah, wow, gravestone. Well, what about gravestones are stone? And then like ding, 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 hello, the coffins are steel. So those coffins were a feeding frenzy for the tornado, for the sheath vortex plasma discharge. There was enough positive energy there that they attracted the tornado to it, and bam. And then even years after that, I didn't realize. We were driving by, and I mentioned it to a friend. He goes, "Yeah, but it wasn't the wind force. Gravestones are not aerodynamic. It's not like an airplane wing or a building, a roof on a building or something that it could just the wind could get a grip on it. It was the Hutchison effect. Look that up. They floated. It was anti-gravity. They just lifted up and spun it. And there have been a lot of testimonies of people. That's how the straw goes through the tree, and this weird displacement of energy. But cars floating, 911, World Trade Center, a lot of cars floated in the air and came down on other cars, and big vehicles floated around. So there are a lot of weird things go on when that type of energy is used, and that type of energy was used there. So, all right. Lightning, earthquake, tornado, volcano, hurricane are electrical equalization of delta. Delta is change in mathematical, logical formula. Delta of potential. Volcanoes, tornadoes, hurricanes, cyclones exhibit or are sheath vortex plasma discharges. They turn every way they revolve. Tornadoes are limited, 45 minutes on the ground in general. The Laurentian craton, hence craton, is an arc. It floats. It's less dense than the mantle. It floats, but it is grounded to the mantle. It is grounded to the mantle. The craton is twice as thick as the rest of the tectonic plate. It's deeply grounded. Craton is from Greek, kratos meaning strength. Craton is the heart of the North American tectonic plate. The OzArk Plateau is the heart of the craton, where cold springs flow like silver fountains and time stands still in these ancient mountains. And what made these rivers so unusual are the large springs which feed most of them, springs so large and from waters so deep that droughts leave them still flowing. Come back to that. I'll just touch on it and give a thought, a question. Where does that water come from? Where does the water where you have really, really high tides, where does that water come from? Could that water, being so extremely icy cold, come from outside of the firmament? Water conducts electricity. Tornadoes are electrical discharges. Groundwater aquifers will generate tornadoes. The maps of Tornado Alley match exactly the same parts of the same states. The Ogallala Aquifer. All right, it's under 8 states: South Dakota to Texas, New Mexico. Tornado Alley, extending from North Dakota to central Texas, quote unquote, has most tornadoes each year on average. The Ogallala Aquifer is going dry at a catastrophic rate. That is a fact. Now, I made this prediction in November of 2013. As the Ogallala Aquifer dries up, tornadoes there will lessen in frequency and be spread over the rest of the Craton. Caveat, the Craton is venting from 120 miles deep at the same time all around the edge. Major electrical disturbances in the force are occurring. Translation, all bets are off. Anything could happen anywhere. But I did say in that article that you would see tornadoes going west, further west, where you haven't seen them, up into the foothills, and there have been. I grew up in Aurora, Colorado. I never, ever, ever heard or saw a tornado there. There were 3 on one day, 1 week, and about 2 weeks later, 3 again. So I was right. And going up into North Dakota and whatnot, tornadoes. And this is just something, is this important? What difference does it make if the Earth is flat or round? Well, if they're hiding this free energy from us, then it's damned important. Electrical potential, the delta, can be artificially equalized, balanced, or harmonized. It can be done passively, bleeding off electrical pressure, or positively, productively using it for energy. The more people use the energy for gardening or energy to power their houses, the more the fewer tornadoes and destructive things there will be. Either will eliminate destructive natural electrical phenomena in the craton, that is, lightning, earthquake, tornado, volcano. Grounding via deep water aquifer as well as via depth of the craton results in more effective earth ground and conductance of electricity. Saying this in different words, the universe is highly electrical. Water conducts electricity to ground. Tornadoes have an electrical component, as do volcanoes and earthquakes. Tornadoes occur where there is deep groundwater in aquifers, the Ogallala Aquifer, etc. Tornadoes also occur where there is a deeply grounded craton. Balancing energy is dissipated at the edge or border of the craton. A map of the earthquakes in the continental United States matches precisely the craton edge. Not all of them. I mean, the San Andreas, no. But the most of the earthquakes, excepting for the New Madrid and San Andreas, are on the edge of the craton. In other words, I said simply number 40 there. A first grader can connect the earthquake dots. You know, Johnny, here's a map of dots, connect the dots, and he has drawn the craton edge. As water lessens in aquifers, tornado will decrease as coronal mass ejections, etc., create disruptions in Earth's magnetosphere. Earthquakes, tornadoes, volcanoes, and balancings, quote unquote, will increase. So, all right, whatever. And that's a lot of information, but hey, in for a penny, in for a pound, as they say. So, old Tornado Alley versus new Tornado Alley plus Dixie Alley. So about May, I think it was. Some of these will probably have a date on them. I discovered this. Now, this had already been happening, but I had, in my mind, made the connections and made the prediction that old Tornado Alley was going to be kind of disappear as a concentration of tornadoes. Not that tornadoes aren't going to happen, they would just lessen in that area and be spread out over more of the United States, i.e. the rest of the craton. Bingo! Tornado Alley typically includes the plain state from Dakotas to Texas. However, a new study shows that the frequency and severity of tornadoes are actually much more widespread, so Tornado Alley should also include several states in the upper Midwest and deep south along with Florida. Why does Florida have tornadoes? Because all the energy coming across the Atlantic, the first place they have, you know, it has any kind of ground at all to hit and to discharge is Florida. You can be on the beach in Florida and not a single cloud in the sky and get killed by a lightning bolt. Because when the electricity shows up, it's going to dissipate. It's going to, balance. It's not going to dissipate. It's going to, like, bam, strike. Okay. All right, there's a bigger map of it. Screenshot if you want. Dixie Alley. Just saying that there's another alley for tornadoes, and by the time it's all said and done here, like I said, you're going to see that it's the Craton Plus. A growing path of destruction tore through the edge of a region traditionally known as Tornado Alley because of its history of deadly twisters. But recently, experts have argued that the boundaries of the high-risk area should be expanded to include parts of the Midwest and Deep South that have also suffered frequent devastation from severe tornadoes. Number of deaths, 750 over here in southeast Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee. I'm just going to, growing path of discussion. This article that I had pulled up give you the names of the articles, and pretty easy to find all this stuff. There's a good one to screenshot if you want. This is a listing of the deaths. Remapping Tornado Alley has moved to SEC states. I'm going to southeast, whatever. I already went on to this. I already stated it. So back to the electricity thing. I'll just, you can screenshot this. High peaks, mountain peaks, you can do artificially in a positive manner, You could use it to produce energy and to provide protection for the area in question, which would be nice to get that going. I think more Oklahoma would be interested. I've already covered that. I don't know why. Just roll through these. This is from some of the people that read some of my stuff. This is from a lady in Mississippi. Great input. No, we have not had a Category 5 tornado since 1906. Well, we had one last spring. I believe this info is correct. Tornadoes have been rare where I grew up, but not anymore. Thanks, Anna. The western edge of the Craton is the Continental Divide. The eastern edge of the east of the Continental Divide is in the Craton. The edges, the borders of the Craton, are defined by earthquakes, volcanoes, etc. Electrical imbalance within the Craton is primarily balanced by tornadoes. If you dispel the imbalance via a passive bleed-off, large or in multiple lightning rod systems, or by an active free energy device system, will prevent the destructive effects of tornadoes. Now, more and more stuff is coming out. Is this important, whether the Earth is a battery? Yeah, it's important. I'm going to go into that. Electrolytic solution of the oceans creates a gigantic free energy system worldwide. Tesla knew it. He could power the whole world, every hamlet, every truck, every car, every plane, every boat, could be powered. Every hamlet, every village could have free power. People are doing this now, so start watching that, doing some research. There's a 14-year-old kid that supposedly is going to go to MIT for $20, built a little free energy device collecting system. Those will get scaled up to where we can, power a house with. In fact, they say that you can build one yourself for less than $200 that will power your whole house. So, and of course, it's one of those sales deals, for $47 you can get the plans, blah, blah, blah. But, look on YouTube and, be aware of this, start watching it, because it is true. There is free energy. There's a reason that I now know. I always wondered why Tesla knew. I know why Tesla knew, because the Earth is flat and the oceans are an electrolytic solution around the core of the North Magnetic Pole. It's a big battery. So the simple fact that there's lightning storms and tornadoes are proof that there's free energy. And the fact that we have more free energy here than anywhere else in the world is absolutely, I think, magnificent, stunning, and will play a part in this whole end of the world scenario that we're, I think, about to face. All right, I'm going to pause this and start another one.